Look how far we've come, all the things we've done. Did it all with love, built it from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view. But there's nothing new, girl, you made my heart.
And we are back. I am back. I'm here. You are here. You are here with me. We are hanging out today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it because otherwise I would be by myself and that sucks. We are doing episode 23 of The Voice of the Broken. This is going to be the first episode that is released solely to the main To Be Better YouTube channel and the To Be Better podcast channel since I think the very first episode because I was trying to build that. And realizing that we had separated a whole lot of content that we didn't need to separate, we decided to put everything back to the way it was because sometimes you have to experiment to see what works and what doesn't. And what doesn't work is me pulling all of this content away from the main channel and sticking it back onto the other channel. This is what we're doing. There is no disclaimer at the beginning of this email, so I don't know if there's going to be triggering content within it. I do know that it's 16 pages long and there's a whole lot there. I'm going to just jump in and start reading this. I would like to get into a real quick, just in case disclaimer, like a blanket statement. A lot of the emails for Voice of the Broken contain drug abuse, sexual assault, child abuse, suicide, everything that you can think of that's horrible normally does get depicted in these emails. So if those are all things that trigger you, just know that those do get brought up. I try my best to filter words so that we don't get demonetized and videos don't get flagged, but sometimes it's just not possible. And sometimes in the moment, it's better to actually say what's being said, and I do. I hope that you guys enjoy this coming back to the main channel. I hope that it gets more viewership, and I really hope that it starts to help men. If you would like to send us an email to have your email read, either as a To Be Better podcast episode or a personalized Voice of the Broken segment with me, you send that to tobebetterco@gmail.com and then just label it. If it's going to come to the Voice of the Broken, put like a little, subject line. This is for Voice of the Broken, or whatever your subject is / Voice of the Broken, or even in the beginning of the title, so that the header, whatever you want to call it, so that we know where to move things as the email screeners are going through this. I'm going to just jump in. This email reads, "Hello, Chris and Peaches. First, thank you for everything that y'all do and all the advice that you give. From someone who used to have all their own mental health support group and podcast and was trying to do the very thing you guys have accomplished. I applaud you for all the sacrifices you have made to help others. I truly understand the toll it takes on you trying to do all that you have done. So again, thank you. Second, I apologize for all of the errors and misspellings. I tried to go..." Carrie's moving boxes. "Second, I apologize for all of the errors and misspellings. I tried to go through and edit it, but it keeps kicking me out of my email from my phone every time I do and not saving it. Third, I asked you guys today on your Wednesday live 12925 about how to lead when you're not being allowed to lead. I think that's the way I put it. When I typed out this really long email trying to explain more about what I was asking, after I got to about the end, I realized something. And I mean no offense to y'all when I say this, but when I got to the end of my email, I realized that all I was saying and explaining was none of your business. LOL, please don't take that the wrong way. What I mean is the problems in my relationship are not your problems and should be handled and kept in-house and should be figured out between my fiance and I. At the end of the day, I can tell you everything that is wrong and also right, and she can too. And bringing in someone else isn't going to do anything to help correct our problems if we aren't working them out together. It's us versus the problem, not the problem versus me versus her and then versus y'all. I think I'm saying this right, LOL. I agree and I disagree. Yeah, you're right. It's none of our business. However, getting an outside perspective that is unbiased, that can help people learn how to communicate or shift perspective or see things from a different light or shed a different what if to the subject, or even point out like, hey, you guys clearly love each other. I can see it in the way that you guys are looking at each other right now. You need to remember that when you're trying to have these conversations, like there's a whole lot of things that can come into having these email reads. And you obviously know that because at one point you tried to do the exact same thing that we're doing. You said that in the first paragraph of the email. So after writing a very long, exhausting email, it exhausted me. I realized I was just word vomiting. I couldn't even stay on topic and kept bouncing around. Okay, so do you journal? That's a great question, right? Because if you can't send a coherent email because everything is jumbled up and you had to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it, that's therapeutic. That's the entire point of journaling. The entire point of sitting down and having a conversation with somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game in your life. It's the same process. We are trying to help you get your shit together. I have no skin in the game. I have no stake in your life whatsoever. And if you took 3 attempts to write a 16-page email and you wrote it to the end every single time, and then you were going back and try to proofread and fix and correct, you basically took that into your own hands and started doing your thing. So like, good for you for doing that, but you should start journaling. All right, moving on. So this brings me to my real problem. Exactly what Chris said when he answered my question on YouTube. If you are not worthy of being called a leader, you can't expect someone to follow you. I think I got that right. Yeah. It sounds like exactly like something I would say. It sounds like something that I put in my book. Speaking of which, my book is for sale on Amazon. It's called No One's Coming to Save You. It's only 165 pages, but there's some good shit in there and a 60-day challenge. I recommend you guys go check that out. I'll put a link in the description of the video. My real problem is how to make myself become that leader so someone will follow me. FYI, your book will be here in a few days. Yes, when I get paid. Been excited to get it since I found you came out with it. My real problem, I feel like I have lost who I used to be, and if I can't get back to the way I used to be, and I can't get back, there was no if there, and I can't get back to the way that I used to be. I used to be a Marine, a man. Now I feel like I'm not shit anymore and just plain pathetic. I have never met a Marine who said he is no longer a Marine. So I don't know what's going on in your headspace, brother, but I also want to point out that your service, though very honorable, does not qualify you to be a leader. There are a whole lot of grunts that will never be more than a grunt in the military because you need people that can do the work and you need people to assign the work. I hope that my book gives you some sort of insight. There's challenges in that book. There's a 60-day challenge, and one of those challenges is to actually start journaling and reading this. It sounds like you need that. There's a lot in that 60-day challenge that I hope that you actually do that. There's also questions that are laid out in that book that you would want to journal. We actually got a comment last night in our Discord community where somebody said that they bought their husband the book and a journal for his birthday. And I was like, you fucking won that one because he's going to need that journal when he starts reading the book. Moving on. You said explanation coming in 3, 2, 1. If the rest of this is too long and you don't want to touch on it in your answer, I completely understand. The rest of this email is more of my background. I also feel like maybe this should have been an email that I wrote for Voice of the Broken months ago, but I never sat down and did it. So if you decided if this is for both of you or for the Voice of the Broken, it's been decided. The mods put the email screener, Zach and Jenny said, this is it. I asked them, I was like, hey, do we got anything for the Voice of the Broken this week? And Jenny was like, oh yeah, there's a 16-page email in there. Have fun with that one. I'm like, yeah, let's run that shit. I love long emails. And I agree. If you feel like you should have written this before, you should have written this before. Guys, you don't have to, your email may not even get read on one of these things. Writing something in isn't a guarantee that it's going to be on the show, but it is a guarantee that will help you isolate and prioritize the things going on in your life because you are writing it down. I can't stress this. Apparently, this is just going to be the episode of me telling you guys to start fucking journaling. Okay, now on to the long background story that may or may not help at all in any of this. I'm a disabled Marine veteran who has never deployed due to injuries I got in boot camp. I served from January of 2007 to November of 2011, almost 5 years, almost an entire extra year past my 4-year contract due to my injuries. After messing up my back and hip in boot camp and the good old military doctors not being able to figure out what the problem was for literally 2 years, I went through a lot of crap. I was physically and mentally assaulted on almost a daily basis, all because I was injured and the doctors didn't believe me because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was told many times before being assaulted in more ways than one that if you are going to act like a bitch, then you're going to get treated like a bitch. Oh no, I don't like where this is going. Since the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong physically, they said it was mentally and started sending me to therapists. For over a year, the therapist tried to convince me that I just wasn't mentally fit to be in the Marines and that it was all in my head and I was malingering, basically means lying about my injuries and making it all up. They almost got me to the point where I believed I was making it all up too. During that time, if it wasn't for my biological father, I would have ended up ending it all. But he kept me alive and going by talking me down many times. Ironically, an Army officer overheard one of our conversations one day after a stressful therapist appointment while I was literally breaking down, crying and sobbing because I was just so tired of it all. That officer was what turned things around for me. This is divine intervention. I know that like there are a lot of people who listen to this that don't believe in God, and that's fine. That's your choice. So maybe it's not God. Maybe it's the universe going, this man has had all he can handle. I need to put something in his path because he has a purpose, right? Like I know what your future looks like, young man. Let me just shove this guy that I know is a caring, compassionate, empathetic human being into your path that can just overhear this and just fucking shove them right into your life. I truly believe that. I believe that we get to a point where there is intervention. I'm not even going to get into that. We'll save that for all. That's a whole ass conversation. After 2 years of dealing with all of this, it took a non-military, out-of-town physical therapist that they finally sent me to for rehab to figure out what the problem was. After a few minutes of laying on his table, he figured out that my left hip had been busted out of place. That's what stemmed all of my other problems. After that, I figured things would get better while in the Marines, but it didn't. It stayed the same. Everybody looked at me like I was a broken bitch. Their words, not mine. Hip problems create a whole lot of issues up and downstream because that is a pivotal point of your hinge system. So it can create issues in your ankles and your knees and your feet. It can also work upwards up your spine because it's never isolated to what the problem is. I'm going through that currently with my busted discs. Anyways, while there, they gave me a job that changed my life and personality. I became a dispatcher for the motor pool. They basically gave me a low man on the totem pole that had only been in for 2 years, the job of telling other Marines that had been for 5, 10, 15 years to fuck off. I learned to become a dick and grow balls fast. That job was only supposed to be a 6-month job to do the long hours and stress, but because they had nowhere else to put me, I ended up doing it for the next 3 years. I became very good at being a dick. I had to be. It was eat or be eaten. I was very good at my job too. I didn't let the power go to my head, but because I had nothing better to do, I learned the rules and eventually worked my way up to becoming a logistics master. I realized that you have no clue what that is, but it's way above the pay grade I was supposed to be, or was supposed to have. People were pissed that somebody with my rank got such an important job, which came with a lot more problems. Ooh, saltiness. Little fucking envious bitches. They were to do their job to the ability that you were able to do their job, they would have gotten a promotion. But see, that's the victim mentality. Not because of me, it's because of them. Fuck them. I didn't do enough, therefore I didn't get the job. It's a very different conversation. Anyways, I eventually got out of the Marines in 2011. After getting out, I didn't understand that I had PTSD, anxiety, depression, and a boatload of other mental health problems. My biggest problem was that I had a chip on my shoulder. You see, I was one of those crazy people who signed up to do exactly what you do in war, and I felt like my entire dream in life was ripped away from me because of a stupid injury. It's actually a pretty common feeling for people. So I walked around the next 6 years hating the world and hating everyone in it. Because why did everyone else deserve to be happy, but I couldn't find any for myself? There's that victim mindset. I became a hateful piece of shit that lived to try to ruin everyone else's happiness. The Marines turned me into an asshole, and God was I good at it. Marines might have turned you into it, but you made an active decision to keep living that way. Especially when you left the Marines. It's a choice. The worst thing about the Marines is that they tear you down and break you down while in boot camp and basically build you back up to the fighting killer they want you to be. Basically, they brainwash you. And then, when they are done with you, they just throw you away like yesterday's trash and hand you a piece of paper and tell you to fuck off. They don't reteach you how to be a civilian, so then you don't know how to act when you get back into the real world. Sadly, that's exactly why so many veterans end up being a part of the 22 a day. That number is actually up to 26 now, but the 22 a day is such a catchy thing that they've not updated that number. It's 26 a day is average now. And I agree with this, that whole thing. They need to have a reintegration period from military life to civilian life, just like they now give most prison inmates. When they come back from prison, there's a reintegration before they hit the streets. It's normally a halfway house. Not all inmates get that, but that was something that I know that has been attempted to be implemented, and it absolutely should be with the military. So fast forward to 2016, I met a woman that I fell absolutely head over heels in love with. This woman changed my entire life, but not the way one would hope it turns out. At first, everything was perfect. I had never loved a woman like I loved her. I became the dreaded thing that I had made of for others, pussy whipped. LOL. Bullshit. You just said I loved her like I loved no other woman. And then you said that you were pussy whipped, which just degraded, and it degraded the woman. It downplayed your feelings for her and made it purely about her whole. Words matter. The way that we speak, the way that we choose to explain things to other people matters. How can you say that you loved her more than any other woman you've ever met, ever loved? And then downplay it to that, because it removes everything that was that first 6 months. Which you then said things were great for the first 6 months, magical fairy tale like, and then all of a sudden it wasn't anymore. Things started to change. I later understood, and I hate how this is thrown around nowadays and overused, but she showed a lot of narcissistic traits. Looking back now, she wore a mask and I fell for that mask. I started farming back then, homesteading actually. I loved it and it brought peace to me. Well, it's awesome. You found a fucking hobby. I love that. I'm not going to touch on the narcissistic thing because I'm sure you're going to get into that. So even though my Marine Corps injury still affected me, that was what drove me. When out on the farm, I felt peace and was left alone. It was the task at hand and nothing else mattered. And when I started hurting too bad to keep going, that little voice in my head from the abuse in the Marines would pop in my head. I'm not a bitch. What was okay, I'm not a bitch. The exclamation point made it sound like it was the end of your sentence, and then the capital letter made me, I'm not a bitch, was what kept pushing me. I would push myself until I would end up in bed for the next for the next few days, barely able to move from the pain, and then pitying myself because look at how much of a bitch I really was. Somewhere during that time frame, we ended up breaking up. I just woke up one day and she was gone. It devastated me, killed me, so I tried to unalive myself twice. The ironic thing I try to tell people, though, is that it wasn't really about her. It was just the icing on top of the cake, the last straw, my final breaking point. Anybody who's never lived a life in pain, like consistent pain, dude, they'll never understand how exhausting it is and how much you just want it to stop. Back pain, hip pain. I mean, I've heard it with people with neuropathy in their feet. When every part of your existence is excruciating and you can't do the simple things that the average people take for granted, like walking to the refrigerator or sitting on the couch. It's a constant, I can't get comfortable. When is this going to stop? God, take this away from me. I can't do this anymore. I have experienced that, all of it. And it is exhausting. And there are days where, like this young man I've had, I don't know if he's young. He could be older than me. I have no fucking idea. I have been in that position where I have gone to bed super fucking early because I'm in a ton of pain. Like I can't sit here anymore. And it's exhausting. So like at 7 o'clock at night, I'm falling asleep sitting up on the couch because I have been in pain dealing with this shit all day. And choosing not to take drugs and choosing to still live a life because that is a choice. You chose to homestead. You made bad decisions while doing it, but you still chose to do something other than sit around and feel sorry for yourself and medicate. So I get it. I tried to put it to the head, and after hours of trying to talk myself out of it, I pulled the trigger. The damn thing went click instead of bang. My dumbass couldn't even do that right. I forgot to put a round into the chamber. I always found it ironic when people say that it's a coward's way out. For hours straight, I had to gain the courage to do that. I have also been there, and I have had this same fucking conversation with people, and I've had it on the podcast. If you have not been in that position, you have no fucking idea how much strength and courage it takes to finally squeeze one round. It is not fucking easy. And it doesn't matter what your way out is. That internal dialogue, the body doesn't want to go. We want to thrive. We want to push forward. It's why when people go underwater and are pulled back out, they start breathing on their own again sometimes. There is a will to live there, and trying to overcome that will is a lot. I had the gain. Okay, so let me backtrack. I forgot to put a round into the chamber. I always found it ironic when people said that it's a coward's way out. For 4 hours straight, I had to gain the courage to do that, begging God to give me strength to pull the trigger so I could end it. Because I felt back then that the world, my family, my friends, and especially my kids would be better off without me. A few days later, I called the mother of my children and got her voicemail. I told her I wasn't feeling good and asked if she could come get the kids. Condemn me if you want, but yes, my kids were in the house the second time. But what people didn't understand was that I was so far gone and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I tried to get the kids out of the house. When she didn't answer, I took a handful of pain meds, told the kids I loved them with all my heart, and I was going to take a nap and then went to bed. Sorry. That one day I'm going to tell a story on this podcast. It's not going to be today because I'm not in the headspace for it, but that whole kid seeing it hits me fucking hard because I lived through a similar thing. That phone call I made was what saved my life. It wasn't a call for help like someone might think. I never let anything on. I just wanted someone to get the kids. I may be many things in life, but I was a good father that always got my kids and never asked for help. The mother of my children knew that something was wrong because I never once asked for her to come get the kids. When it was my time, she found me, contacted my sister, and they were able to get me awake, forced me to go to the hospital, even threatened to call the cops on me. But I told them if the cops showed up, then I'd get exactly what I wanted, suicide by cop. I wasn't going to hurt the cops, but I knew that they would get the job done that I obviously couldn't do myself. I spent a week, I can't just go past that, knowing that I just read an email last week from an officer who took the life of somebody in the line of duty. I now view suicide by cop as a really fucked up way to go. And it was never something that I had ever put thought into. I've thought a lot about that email and what that gentleman went through. Because he was forced to use his weapon in a line of duty. And that's changed things for me. Your actions will ripple like waves through your community, and it will affect other people's lives in ways that you can't foresee. And in that, our inability to think of others in the moment is narcissism. It's the selfishness that we are the most important thing in the world in that moment. That who gives a shit about that rookie cop that may have been the one to put you down, that may have to go home and lose his family because he's unable to cope with it. A lot. He then went on to write, I spent a week in the nut house, and man, let me tell you, after that place, I found I wasn't as crazy as I always thought I was because I met real crazy there. I have also been there. And hearing people scream all night long and watching people shove their feces in their face and yeah. I spent a year faking it until I made it, basically. I had a grand scheme. I was going to fake being fine until after summer, and then I was going to go for one last motorcycle ride, dump the bike on purpose to end it all. My plan was perfect. I was going to act like I was great, spend the time with the family, friends, kids for the one last summer, give them all the best summer of their lives, and then give them all the happy memories to leave them with, and then take that last ride. The ironic thing was that faking it until I made it literally saved me again. Your plan is so flawed. You would have had given them the best summer of their life, and then you would have been the guy he was just so happy. I wish you would have talked to me. I remember my dad giving me the best summer of our life. We went fishing and camping and hiking and did all of these things, and then he died on a motorcycle. And maybe they would have not known that it was an intentional thing. Like at that point, hopefully they would not have thought it was a suicide. Maybe they would have thought that you just had a motorcycle accident, but we just got our dad back. Like he was Baker acted and he was going through suicidal ideations and he was struggling and he was finally back, and then we lost him. Guys, your ripples are going to affect not just your kids, but your kids' kids. The trauma that's going to come from all of that. And the I don't know how to process what happened to my father. And now I don't know how to be a father because mine checked out. And this is not me being nasty towards this emailer by any means. I want you guys who are in this position right now, who are thinking about ending it all, think about the impact that it's going to have on your family and the people around you, and not just your immediate family, but your kids' kids. Because I recommend that everybody that's listening, if you haven't yet, go read It Didn't Start With You. Really, really read the book. And if you have it on Audible, listen to it more than once. That book will change your perspective on your actions and the way that it affects your family. And hopefully it will give you a little bit more of an outside perspective of what your traumatic experiences can do long term. I don't even need to read the rest of this email. I know where this is going. And I'm going to read the rest of this email, but dude, I am so fucking glad that your kids didn't have to be the one to find you dead. I spent real time with people and my kids. I realized that I wasn't alone and that people did love and care for me, etc., and that saved me. The ex and I tried again about 9 months later, I think, and ended it again, of course. And again, it was all my fault and it was all me. I tried to change that for the whole 9 months, but it wasn't good enough and it still wasn't enough for her. That's okay, dude. Guys, you are not meant to be with everybody in your life. And when you settle, you end up miserable. If you are fighting tooth and nails to try to make things work with your wife, I fucking commend you for it, because that's what's supposed to happen. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes they were never meant to be together in the first place. Sometimes it's a marriage of necessity or a relationship of necessity. And trying to do that with the wrong person is just going to breed a life of misery. You guys need to find people that share your values. I know you said she wore a mask, so this isn't for you. This is for everyone. You guys need to find somebody that shares a value with you, that has the same want for retirement, the same want for life, the same things that excite you, excite them, and that you guys wake up every day excited for a new adventure of what your day looks like. And that's, that could be anything. It could be video games. It could be being a couch potato. It could be, you're both fucking hoarders. I don't know what that looks like for you, but don't just get with somebody and fucking try to make it work because you're pussy whipped, as you put it, or because, life is just easier with them there. Like maybe the bills are getting paid easier or whatever the case may be. He then went on to say, after that, I got a job delivering pizzas for Papa John's. I moved and gave up the farm, more because the landlord went back on our deal of me buying the place more than anything else. I actually liked my job. It was something that kept me busy, and I was left alone to do it. One night at work, our song came on and I broke down and had to pull over. Right then and there is when I changed. While sobbing uncontrollably on the side of the road, I told myself that this is not how I was meant to live. This is not how life was meant to be lived. And either I would change or I would die trying. Okay, so I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that coming. I really thought that the time that you spent with your kids was going to be what changed you. So I began my journey of mental health. I forgot to mention that I never really knew that I suffered with any mental health, PTSD, anxiety, or depression until I met my ex. And she had anxiety and pointed out a few things in me. Up until her, I thought that this was who I was and how I was. Anyways, I started researching everything I could find, YouTube, podcast, blogs, anything that I could get my hands on. Motivational and inspirational speakers are what I love the most. I get that. I actually really enjoy motivational speakers. I don't like the motivation aspect where they're just trying to hype people up to get shit done. I like the change of thought process from the people who live that life versus those who don't. And I find a lot of golden nuggets in those. I got what I've heard some people call the Messiah complex, because if I suffered through all of this and could make myself better, then others have got to know about this. So you just started telling everybody about how you changed. I don't think it's a Messiah complex. I think that's necessary. I've gone through a lot. I don't have a Messiah complex. I think that what I've gone through in life has got me to where I am, and it's letting me help people. And if that's a Messiah complex, then fuck it, I have that. But I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy knowing that we're changing lives. And it's not In the beginning of this, we used to tell people all the time, we're not doing shit. All we're doing is having conversations. You guys are the ones that are changing your lives. But I've had a couple people point out recently that I have credited other people's influence on my life to make me a better person. And that actually helped me quite a bit. So I'm okay with people saying that our podcast has helped them. That's kind of irrelevant, but whatever. So what I ended up doing was creating a private Facebook support group with people I knew and others I saw posting different things on Facebook that I could tell felt like me. I went live for the first time. It took me 8 hours to hit that stupid little red button because I was so scared, but I finally did it. People loved it and started doing it more. I started doing it more. Always in a private Facebook group, though, because my God, what would other people think if they knew I was doing something so dirty and disgusting as trying to help people with mental health and I had the same problems? I think that makes you more qualified than people who have gone to school. You can get all of the fancy diagnostic terms and be able to explain to somebody all of the new fancy labels in the DSM and be able to do all of that shit. But it's one thing to live through an experience and it's another to have it in theory. When I talk to people that have been in a point of wanting to remove themselves from the planet, I have tried to remove myself from the planet. I have a whole lot more understanding for that person and what they're going through in that moment than the person who theoretically read about it in a fucking book. Guys, we have to start having conversations with people. We cannot continue to just push it down, hold it in, and just fucking go about life like it's just no big deal. Like this is just what men are supposed to do. It's not. If we are not able to be the community of men that other men need, we are not going to be able to call ourselves men for much longer. There needs to be a strength in numbers. There needs to be a mentor. There needs to be a teacher or an elder. You'll understand that conversation when you finally read my book. And you are now at the point of being able to be that teacher. You're going to teach for long enough and eventually you'll be that wise elder. You'll get it. You'll read the book. You'll understand. I also started writing a book during this time, a fantasy, spicy shades of gray type book. Well, insert the third big final attempt with the ex, and I trying again. Big eye roll. I know. I was scared to tell her about the book. The book was basically my love story of us. It also had a lot of other stuff to do with other exes, and it wasn't just about her. The very, very few people that read it absolutely loved it, but I knew she would hate it. She was a very private person. In the book, I completely changed her name, image, and everything. Nobody knew it was us unless they knew us. Well, I eventually ended up telling her because I don't like to keep secrets, and she absolutely freaked out and made me feel bad about it. She never even read the book. Well, you basically wrote a story about somebody else's life. I'm sure that probably made them feel a certain way. I think that I probably wouldn't have told her that it was about her. If you changed her name, changed the appearance, and it was just a fictional story, what were the odds of her ever actually reading the book? And even if she did read the book, she would have been the only one who really knew it was about her. Anyway, so I dropped the book and I haven't really written since. That's problematic. You gave up something that you enjoyed because of somebody else's emotional issues. Then came her opinion on the mental health support group I was doing. Her exact words when I told her, who would listen to you? You don't know big fancy words. Look at the way you dress. You don't even own a suit and you want to become a mental health speaker? Ha ha, and look at that. Look at how you act. Nobody's going to listen to you. Again, she lived a private life and didn't like people knowing her business, and I was afraid I'd tell everyone about her. You know how much shit we get because of the way that we look? The amount of times I've heard I will not listen to some fucking moron with tattoos on his face. He obviously doesn't make good decisions. Why would I listen to him? We hear that shit constantly. It happened so much that I stopped going to YouTube for the comment section. I will every once in a while pop in on a video if it's doing really well to see what the comments are doing. But for the most part, I don't read the comments on YouTube because that was the number one comment that I got for months. And you know what? Those people don't need to hear it. But for every one person that was talking shit, there was 5 to 15 people who were like, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. Thank you for making this content. And I never paid attention to any of that. That 5 to 15 good comments didn't fucking matter because that one person was ripping me apart. Fuck people, dude. Misery loves company. Miserable people want miserable people. If I can't be happy, why can you be happy? Why do you deserve to smile and have nice things if I can't fucking have nice things? How dare you heal yourself? Fuck them. Anyways, well, that one messed me up too, but I didn't let that one stop me from doing what I was doing. I kept going. I kept fighting. I helped a lot of people. We eventually split up again a few months later, and it didn't last long. Again, my fault, and she couldn't put up with me and my shit. That was just before COVID in 2019. Fast forward to now, I've been with an amazing woman for 3 years. She supports my crazy dreams and loves me for who I am. She's my best friend. Of course, we have our problems, but who doesn't? Well, we started a business together, a beauty and wellness spa, something I never have seen, never even seen me doing, never ever seen me doing. I went back to school and became a nail tech, and I went to back to school again to become an esthetician to be able to do eyelash extensions. We now have a spa together that is helping other small business owners come in and get their small business together. But here lies the problem. And the problem is me. I have lost myself along the way somehow. I thought I got better with all my stuff. But when you said today, if you are not worthy of being called a leader, then you can't expect someone to follow. It made me realize how lacking I've been. I've known it for a long time, and I could have written this entire email like the first started about what all I feel like I'm doing right and that my fiance is wrong, but that would have all been bullshit. I agree. There's an accountability that has to be taken in there. All right. Sorry about the weird cut. My food got delivered and I don't want to try to guess where I was. You said I'm doing right and what my fiance is doing wrong, but that would have been bullshit. This is the accountability that we talk about on To Be Better constantly. When we talk about taking accountability, we don't mean take blame. We're not saying that it's solely on your shoulders. Other people have things that they may have done, their actions, their words, their emotions, their soul, whatever the case may be. They did what they did, but so did you. And you saying my fiance just now, or anybody saying, well, they did this, they did that. If you go on a first date with somebody and you guys are talking about your exes and that person just shits all over their ex and their ex is the fucking problem all the way through, don't get in that relationship. Fucking stop the date. Be like, hey, I really appreciate you meeting me tonight. I can tell right now that you got a little bit of growing to do. Let me go ahead and drop this money on the table for the bill. I'm going to take off. I would love to meet up with you again in a couple months as a friendship thing with no expectations, but this is not fucking happening. Until somebody can truly take accountability for their actions and look back on the relationship that they had previously and go, okay, these are the things that I could have handled better. I probably shouldn't have yelled as much. I shouldn't have flipped that table over. I shouldn't have drank so much. Maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it if they were the one coming home at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 or 4 times a week, smelling like alcohol, right? Like until you can internalize and figure out where the fuck you made mistakes, you can't grow. You will continue to do the same thing over and over and over again because your life is, up until this point has just been that, and you're okay with it. It's as long as somebody else is the problem, you will never change. Change is hard. We don't want to do it. We don't want to do the shadow work. We don't want to deep dive our psyche. We don't want to journal. We don't want to go to the gym. We don't want to eat healthy. We don't want to do anything that's hard because it's uncomfortable. And why would I want to do anything that's not fun? So much easier if other people have to be the problem and they're the ones that have to change and I don't have to do anything. That's failure. Moving on, he said, yes, I feel like I am doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and I believe the stress of opening a business in the last year is where a lot of our problems come from. I feel like I'm doing everything household and kid-wise, plus running the business while she is only taking care of her part of the business. We have spoken. Okay, so real quick, pause before I move on. You didn't mention anything about money here. So either the business is going really fucking well or you don't want to talk about your finances. The first year of a business is one of the most stressful things that you will ever experience. It's a different type of stress than what you did in the Marines or anything else. Knowing that you are putting it all on the line, that you learned a trade, and that you are putting everything that you have into trying to make a dream become reality and sustainable is fucking stressful. And the money aspect of it creates a whole lot of problems. So I'll move past that. I just want, for all of you who want to become entrepreneurs, just know that first year is rough and it's going to test your marriages or your relationships or your sanity. Moving on, he said, we have spoken about this many times and I've not been able to get through to her that I am not able to even perform services because I can't get her to help me run around the kids. I've even stopped and completely neglected my farm once again, which is my peace and something that I love doing, all to build this business together. So you're putting your self-care, your maintenance, right? These are the things that I need to tune up my mental health and my physical health to make sure that I have enough in me to be the true me to help you. You guys can't do that. We've talked about self-care a lot with women on the podcast, and we've touched on it kind of with men. But I think that's going to end up being an episode of Voice of the Broken where we talk about the self-maintenance. I don't want to call it self-care because it sounds like bubble baths and fucking, getting your toes done. It's not it. It looks different for everyone. And if that's what you want, cool. I'm not judging you for it. But the idea of maintaining who we are sounds a whole lot more masculine. And I think will apply to men or make men listen a lot more than self-care. Anyways. He then said, but even though that is partly true, it isn't 100%. She has been helping here more lately after a big fight a few weeks ago, and things are starting to get better. I wonder what that fight looked like. I wonder if in your need to be helped, you didn't realize the stress that maybe she was under, and if that conversation could have looked different, if you guys would have had a different outcome earlier on versus a big blow up, because you said a big fight. I hate that. I'm sorry that you went through that. I think that the more understanding you are that your person is their own universe and you are your own universe and your own cognitive bias and the way that you view things and all of that, I think that you learn to have disruptions and you can recover from those disruptions so much faster. Peach just sent me a text message this morning. I don't think that she would have a problem with me saying this. I probably should ask, but I'm just going to do it. She sent me, every morning I get gratitude text or I love you text. She gets up with the kids a half hour, 45 minutes before I do every morning. And every morning I get a text message from my wife that says, I'm grateful for you because, or I love you because, and these are words of affirmations that she gives me before I even open my eyes so that when I wake up and I'm taking a piss and I'm checking my notifications to make sure nothing burned down overnight, I get a bit of positivity first thing in the morning. She said some things this morning that were about other people and about some dreams that she had. And the gratitude was that I'm grateful for you because you don't do X, Y, and Z. Those are things that you'll never have to worry about with me, right? She knows that. But then when I said, I understand or I love you, whatever, she then hit me with, you didn't give me any words of affirmation or reassurances. You didn't validate. And I was like, you've never needed that from these text messages. How am I supposed to know that you needed that right now when that's never been the case? It's always been about gratitude and love and not about you needing validation or reassurances. And I got defensive. It kind of pissed me off because I'd been awake for less than 10 minutes. And if you've listened to the podcast, you know that my brain doesn't work for the first half hour I'm awake. I'm zombie mode. I need my water. I need my caffeine. I need to go to the bathroom and I need silence while I start to wake my body up. I am not a morning person during that first 30 minutes. Afterwards, I love being awake, but the first 30 minutes of that transition is rough for me. And I got defensive. And I could tell that it hurt her. Like I could see it in her face that my defensiveness was just one more fucking thing to her in the moment. And she walked away and I woke up a little bit more and I was processing what had just happened. And I called her out of the kitchen, asked her to come back over to where I was sitting. And I hugged her and I kissed her forehead. And I was like, look, I didn't mean to be aggressive with you just now. I'm not awake yet. You know how it is for me in the morning. That's not an excuse for my behavior, but just know that that is still very much a thing for me. And I didn't know that you needed reassurance. I thought those gratitude and love text messages were something that you do to express gratitude and love for me. I had no idea that you needed reassurance from that. And I reassured her for the conversation. That's none of your business. Right. And we went about our morning. Everything was perfectly fine. But that a moment of defensiveness could have invalidated her further, and that could have become an insecurity for her in the future, which could have become a big blowout. And we were able to simply have a minor disruption, correct the problem immediately within 5 or 10 minutes, and then go about our lives. Being able to communicate effectively and tell your person what it is that they need, and realizing that it's not just about you, and that even though I was frustrated with that in the moment, she was going through something. And I could have been like, fuck her. How dare her come at me in the morning like that? And like, how fucking selfish of me is that? It's not just about her. It's not just about me. It's about our marriage. I have a whole ass fucking human being that has chosen to live her life with me as her partner. She allows me to lead. She fucking loves me unconditionally. And in a moment where she just needed to go, she just needed to hear me say, I'm, you know, whatever validation she needed, I chose to get defensive. And I got defensive for my reasons. And I realized that my reasons were bullshit. I could have very much just validated her. Simple conversations go a long fucking way, guys. Your defensiveness in your relationship is bullshit. If you have a shitty person and you have to feel like you are constantly on the defense with your person, you're with the wrong person. Or you haven't healed yet, and you shouldn't be with that person, because if you are with the right person and you haven't healed, you're going to fuck that person up.
Hey guys, little quick interruption. If you're enjoying the content, please leave a like. And also don't forget to comment. We enjoy interacting with you guys and hearing your opinions, and it helps the algorithm.
It's also free to do. And if you really want to help make sure the show continues to do, hit the subscribe button and share the content across your social medias. It costs you nothing, and it greatly helps the show. Moving on. My real problem, though, is that even though I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I feel like the shell of the man I used to be. I used to be a man that got shit done. I used to be a Marine, for God's sakes. I have overcome and defeated almost every enemy that has come my way. I have kicked mental health's ass, and I have no longer suffer from it. I battle it. I fight it back. I have completely changed from the piece of shit person that I used to be into someone who now I can be proud to be. Okay, I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to challenge the shit out of this paragraph. I feel like a shell of the man I used to be. Then you said, I have overcome and defeated almost every enemy that has come my way, kicked mental health's ass, and I no longer suffer from it. I battle it. I fight it back. I have completely changed from the piece of shit person that I used to be into someone who I now can be proud of. So which one is it? You're a shell of a man who used to be a Marine, or you're a dude that's fucking beating the shit out of your mental health and you are proud of the man you are? How are you a shell? And no, dude, you've evolved. You have gone through a fucking metamorphosis into this new person. Of course, I still have a lot of work to do, but the problem is that I'm not doing it. I'm procrastinating, putting things off. I'm always tired, but yet sleep a lot. Hell, I get winded nowadays just bending over to tie my shoes. I don't exercise anymore, and I'm having a hard time trying to even figure out why I should keep going with anything. No, that's not an unalive myself comment. I'm over that bullcrap. I just feel like I've lost myself somehow along the way. I feel like I used to be a badass. I used to get shit done, and I used to be a man. I'm going to challenge that too. Your physical prowess does not make you a man. You can protect your family by going like this. You're a Marine, for God's sake. You know how to use your safety. Your lack of physical exercise is creating this. We are purpose-driven creatures. You being winded to bend down and tie your shoe could indicate that you have lost mobility. You've probably gotten a gut now. There's a whole lot of things that could play into that. And you know that that's a problem and you're not doing anything about it. That's where that issue is coming in. Nowadays, though, I feel like I'm nothing but a little bitch like they used to call me in the Marines. This is, bro, you've got some shit going on up here that you need to work through. You're holding on to some shit that has nothing to do with your life anymore. You are not in the Marines. You have found the injuries that you had, and you have created a life with a woman that you love. You've built a business. You're doing all of the things that you need to be doing to provide for a family. And you're still taking the maintenance to build your farm and do the homesteading thing that you enjoy. And you're doing that shit. Let that die. This is your ego, right? This is by definition your ego. Troy Ushofer has a podcast that he created now. He was on earlier episodes. He has Change Unchained. He's a friend of mine. I love Troy to death. He's a very, I did not know Troy when he was a chief in the Navy. So I can't know who he was before, but Troy is a very gentle human being. And I admire that about him. And we have conversations almost weekly. His Symphony of Destruction podcast is very small. It's only got like 300 subs on YouTube. It's only on its fifth episode. And he's talked a lot about an ayahuasca retreat and he's doing all of that. But in all of that, he talks about his ego a fucking lot. And I think that you would benefit from listening to this, even without the psychedelic conversation that he's going through. The conversations that he's put over the last 5 episodes about ego would drastically help you out. If nothing else, it would create a light onto your ego or your id. So shout out to Troy for what he's doing. He's a very small podcast. I hope to God that his podcast blows up and it does amazing things. Moving on, you said, don't get me wrong, I do stuff. I just don't do what I know I should be doing, especially with the mental health stuff. I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I've listened to so many motivational, inspirational speakers that I could damn near quote them by heart. I've read a lot of books. I've tried 75 hard and I've failed 75 times. There are so many things I know that I should be doing, but I'm just not doing. This is not failure. This is lack of desire. And I'm going to even go as far as to say that it's a lack of discipline as well. Those two things do not work together, but your lack of desire to actually get there is why you're failing. You're motivated. The motivation, you know the motivational speakers. You lack discipline. Your motivation will only get you so far. You got a little bit of nitrous in your gas tank, but you don't have any fucking gas in it. So how far are you going to really get? You need a community of men that's going to hold you accountable. It sounds like you know that too. I used to be this badass mental health expert that could take on the world with the mentality I have. I've never claimed to be 100% fixed, but I'd say that 75%, because I don't think once this stuff happens, you won't be back to 100 fixed. You'll never be at 100%. Nobody's ever at 100%. No one ever is at 100%. We are all going through our own little battles and our own little shit. And some days we wake up at 85. Some days we wake up at 43. Like, you're never going to be 100 and you'll never be back to something. You have life experience. You have new cognitive perspectives. You have new love. You have somebody that has shown you compassion and you have the ability to grow and evolve. Your metamorphosis, as I said earlier, should be that constant growth. If you're over the 50% line, you're doing pretty fucking good. You'll always have these problems, but it all depends on how you deal with it and fight back. You either suffer from mental health or you battle it. But I don't know what to do anymore. I'm stuck. I'm pretty sure I'm going through depression and it's kicking my ass. Even though I know what I should be doing to escape it and beat it, I'm not doing it. You could be depressed, dude. I think that depression is an overused term. I think that most people are tired and they're exhausted and they're going through the same, excuse me. Sorry about the phone call. I'm just going to start back where I think I was and we'll go from there. I don't think that depression is as prevalent as everybody thinks that it is. I think that people are tired, they're exhausted, they're unhappy, they're bored, they lack purpose, they lack desire, they lack discipline, they lack motivation, they lack the want to do anything more than they are currently doing. We doom scroll, we're told that we're not enough, our food is fucking poison, we drink shit that is causing cancer, we don't do the things that we need to do to give us enough purpose in life to feel like we're fucking accomplishing anything. I leave here, I go home, I talk to my wife, I talk to my kids, we watch some TV, we watch some more TV after the kids go to bed, and then we wait, maybe have some sex and fucking wake up the next day, and that's life. If that's what your life sounds like, you're not fucking purpose driven. What are you doing to create community, to build, to whether or not you are a religious individual, we are put here to create things. And when you stop creating and you start consuming, and that's all you fucking do, of course you feel like less than. If you are a religious person, read Genesis. We were put here to tend God's garden. We are supposed to till the soil. We are supposed to reap. We are supposed to build. As you read the Bible, it is man's duty to provide, to build, to create. It is women's duty to help us fucking thrive. And together we make these beautiful things. We are blessed with children, and we are here to fucking cultivate the earth. Remove God from it. The universe was created. We are somehow lucky enough to live in this fucking utopia that we are destroying, and we are destroying ourselves in the process. If you want to have that feeling of depression go away, find purpose, create something, create a community, create a garden, start cooking, create a fucking cookbook. Do something that gives you purpose to wake up every day that's not your job. You creating a business to make money so that you guys can have the things that you want to have is not purpose. That is, you basically made a job for yourself. That's cool. That job is a job. You are working for you're selling your time to the people who need these things done so that you can do the farming, do the things that you want to enjoy. So if you're not doing the things that you enjoy, you're selling your time for nothing. Making money is the object. Let's see. How do I want to word this? Making money is not the goal. Financial freedom is the goal. Being able to wake up and go, not working today. I'm going to go take my kids to an aquarium and we're going to have a picnic after. And then I'm going to take some pictures and we're going to make memories and we're going to have a dinner at a Mexican restaurant. And then I'm going to go home and beat the brakes off my wife because I fucking earned it. Tomorrow when she wakes up and I'm watching her waddle to the bathroom, I'm going to remind her why she fucking married me, and we're going to do it again before we start our day. Financial freedom. That's why we work. We don't do it because we want to make money. We do it because we want to live our fucking life, and it takes money to do that. Don't lose yourselves in the process. Your passions, the things that fucking get you going every day and excite you, need to be something that you focus on. That is the maintenance that men need. That's the self-care. That is the purpose. That is the desire to fucking move forward. No wonder so many people are unhappy and exhausted. We are selling our time so that we can doom scroll. We have artificial intelligence, artificial intimacy. We have escapism at every fucking corner, and we're comfortable. I know no one is going to come save me. And I know that I have to do this myself, but damn, I just can't figure out how to get back to this point in my life again after doing so well for so long. And it's disheartening to know that I've fallen so far and I didn't realize it until just recently. I used to be a Marine, a badass, a mental health coach, and I feel like I am a shell of the man I was and pathetic. And you are 100% right. Who would follow someone who can't even lead themselves with their own bullshit? I apologize that this is so long and I dumped so much on you, but I need some advice or a kick in the ass. And I admire Chris because he's a lot like me with the no nonsense, don't bullshit and coddle people when it comes to this type of stuff. Thank you for doing all that you guys do. It helps more than you know. And even if you never get around to reading all of this or answering this email through your podcast, just writing it all has helped me getting it out like this. Respectfully, Chris, always remember two things. You are stronger than what you think you are, and you are not alone. Neither are you. You built a private Facebook group where you were helping people with mental health. Are you still a part of that group? Do you still have a community? Have you stopped doing all of the things that filled your cup to make money? Because you're selling your soul. Fuck it. I'll say that that's what that is. You're selling your soul. If you are a man who is working a meaningless job that doesn't fill you up just so that you can provide for your family and you're not doing anything that's going to make you feel like you're progressing in life, because life is a nonstop growth journey. This doesn't end. If you're in your 20s and you guys are suffering right now, it gets different. It doesn't get easier. The things that you're suffering through changes. I'm going to use money because this is a really, really easy example. When you're in your early 20s and you move out on your own and you're fucking struggling to make ends meet. Some people get multiple jobs. Some sell dope. Some take on fucking roommates. You do the things that you think is necessary to get a leg up so that you can not suffer. And eventually you find a career or you learn a trade and then you start making money and your life gets a little easier, and you meet a woman and then you start working really fucking hard because now you want to have a family and like you're doing those things. So when you're in your early 20s and you've got that, I got to make $2,500 a month to survive. I don't know what it costs for even rent now because I own my house, but I know that when I was in my 20s, I had a studio apartment for $450 a month. I was able to pay my rent off of 2 paychecks. I was not making money. I was hustling on the side to make money, and I had roommates. And all of the stresses and finances and all the things that I had then, I still have now. They just look different. Instead of having to come up with $800 a month to live. Now it's, $15 to $16 to $20,000 a month just to make all of the payments that I need to make before living. There's a whole lot of difference in the way life looks, and your struggles and your evolution is going to look different for everybody. There are people out there who get to the point where I am and go, I fucking hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. And they go buy a van, they sell all of their possessions, they build the fucking van out, and they travel the world. And we have a friend, her name is Taylor, who came to Thailand and spent a lot of her money to come to Thailand and then booked her Costa Rica trip while we were in Thailand. Got back home to Alaska and ripped her fucking van apart and built a live-in van and quit and just moved out. I don't want to do this no more. And she's doing the van life in a fucking like Pacifica or some shit. That's not even like a big ass van. There's no bathroom in it. Like the fucking balls on this chick to just give up all of that to do that. Like that would terrify me. Fucking terrify me. Does that mean that she's doing some crazy shit that like I couldn't do? I'm sure that I could, but I enjoy the life that I live, and she's enjoying the fucking van life. Like, you're going to have different routes. Your paths are going to look different. You guys need to do the things that make you happy. You don't need to live under a societal expectation. Well, I have to work 50 hours a week and I got to do this and I got to do that and I have to be a Boy Scout. And you don't. You're grown up. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. There's going to be consequences for all of it, but you can do the things that make you happy. And the things that make me happy is helping people. The things that make me happy is knowing that I am providing a life for my woman that she would have never had without me. I am providing a stable environment for children who are not mine. I have created a men's group for men to come in and share their shortcomings and have conversations. And even though it's not as involved as Peach's women's group, it is still a group for men to work through their things. And I got to be honest, I fucking think that you should join our men's group. If nothing else, you have a community of 12 to 15 other men who are doing the exact same thing that you're doing, and we're here for each other. There's good morning, gentlemen text messages in there from everybody all the time. There's, hey, I'm going through this thing. What would you guys do? How do I address this thing with my woman? Hey, there's a health scare. Hey, there's this. Hey, it gives you a group of people who are not invested in your life that have gone through or are currently going through similar things. And there's other business owners in there. The men's group is not just about our mental health. It's not just about business. It's an all-encompassing thing to help people grow and be better. I can't believe this 16-page email was only an hour long. I fucking love this. So if you guys hear this and you think that you can write a story like this and want to have your email sent and it could help people, please send more emails like this. I know that 16 pages sound like a lot. It's not. It's just a bunch of paragraphs. It's, you could write this over the course of a week while taking a shit. It's not hard. But thank you, emailer. I hope that you're a member of our Patreon. All right, guys, as you know, there was a TikTok scare. We lost the app for a whole 12 hours and we have no idea what the future of the app looks like. And with that, we are very concerned about the loss of our following. We have amassed almost 3 million followers across that platform with all 4 of our accounts. And we are trying to push people to other social media platforms so that in the event that anything happens on one app, we have multiple other backup plans. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any content, we highly recommend that you check out our Patreon.
On Patreon, we have multiple tiers to choose from. Starting at $10, you begin to receive exclusive content. At $15 a month, you get access to our private Discord server where we've amassed an absolutely amazing community of supportive people. And beyond that, we have other tiers to check out, along with my 2 private women's group, if that's something you may be interested in.
Guys, on our $15 and higher tier, you have access to live recordings. We record all of our content 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, live in front of our Patreon audience, where they are able to chat with us while we're recording. They get to see all the flirting, the outtakes, the hot topic conversations that never actually make it on the podcast. And it's really worth that aspect in itself. We have an After Dark where we sit down usually once a week and have a glass of bourbon, or in Peach's case, a glass of wine and a bowl of cheese. And we have a whole lot of fun conversations, karaoke in the Discord. We finish the lyrics. We literally just hang out and you guys get to hang out with us. There is a host of other perks, including Zoom calls that are coming for the ultimate tier, so that if you guys are having problems, you can talk to us. It also gives you the heads up on private meet and greets, because when we travel, we try to meet up with people on our Discord on a regular basis. There's a whole slew of other perks that come through Patreon. I highly recommend that you check it out.
The best way to support what we are doing is to share the content. The second best way is to check out our Patreon. thank you guys for being here.
I hope that you're a part of our Discord. I hope that you are going to join the men's group one day, dude. And if you are a part of this, and because I don't recognize your name, there's no information here other than your email address. Say hello. Let me know who you are. I'd love to talk to you. Fuck, dude, I'm here for you. Let's get you back to feeling like you're the man that you believe you need to be. And I would love to get feedback on my book from you. After going through this email and knowing that you bought my book, do the 60-day challenge, write your eulogy, do the things that I laid out in that book, and then get with me or send a follow-up email. As always, guys, you are the author of your own life. I know Peaches isn't here to tell you to grab your pen, but you need to start journaling, gentlemen. You need to really start reflecting. You need to take the time to sit down and reset. Rest is okay, right? Like, we are in control. The life that we are living is a direct result of the decisions we make and continue to make. Be better, guys. See you on the next one.